The story begins with Prince Duncan, the heir to the European kingdom of Belmont, a young man born into royalty but not into freedom. In America, we meet Emma, a girl running her late father's Bemiter while still believing in fairy tales. As Christmas approaches, the town fills with lights and songs, reminding her of a life she dreams of but hasn't reached yet. On her way to meet her boyfriend Todd, a sales agent, Emma stopped to watch a group of women singing Christmas songs, wishing she could join them, but instead she chooses responsibility. During dinner, Emma breaks up with Todd. He's shocked, believing their relationship is perfect, and even planned to take it further. But Emma wants adventure, while Todd wants control. He reminds her she has a little sister to care for and no money for dreams. Still, Emma refuses to change her decision. Todd leaves angrily and convinced she will regret it. Back in Belmont, the prince trains with his close friend Geoffrey, who senses something is wrong. Duncan admits he's being forced into an arranged marriage with a woman he doesn't love. Geoffrey urges him to follow his heart, not tradition, and for the first time, the prince considers escaping his destiny. Later, Emma returns home and tells her sister everything. Rather than being upset, Alice supports her and hopes she will find someone better. And while neither of them knows that, two lives from different worlds are about to collide.
Back in Belmont, Prince Duncan sits for dinner with his parents, the king and queen. The queen is obsessed with the upcoming royal wedding and excited about making it the biggest Christmas event the kingdom has ever seen. When she notices her son is silent, she confronts him. This is when Duncan finally speaks. He wants to cancel the wedding. His mother immediately refuses. To her, the wedding is not just about love, but about tradition, power, and the kingdom's image. Duncan argues that he wants what his parents had, real love. While the queen storms out in anger, the king stays behind and listens. The king asks if Duncan is in love with another woman, but Duncan admits there is no one yet. He just hasn't found love at all. His father encourages him not to give up, believing that one day he will find the person meant for him. Later in his room, Duncan reads a newspaper article about his wedding and suddenly notices an advertisement for Christmas in Aurora Town. Taking it as a sign, he decides to run away and search for love himself. That night, the prince quietly sneaks out of the palace. Geoffrey sees him but chooses not to stop him, believing he's doing the right thing. Meanwhile, in America, Emma asks Alice her breakfast. Alice wants to buy a Christmas tree with her savings, but Emma refuses, reminded of their parents' deaths. Alice comforts her, finding that their parents didn't die because of Christmas, and that life must go on. Back at the palace the next morning, the king and queen sit down for breakfast, unaware that their son is already gone.
At the palace, Geoffrey brings the daily newspapers to the king and queen. When Duncan doesn't show up for breakfast, Geoffrey reveals something shocking. The prince is missing and his suitcase is gone. The queen panics since the wedding is only a week away, but the king stays calm. He tells Geoffrey to find Duncan and report back, believing his son simply needs time to figure things out. Meanwhile, Duncan arrives safely in Aurora Town, but quickly gets lost using online maps. While checking his paper map, he nearly crashes into a roadblock and his car breaks down. The rental is towed away, and the mechanic tells him the next train won't arrive until the following day. With no choice but to stay in town, Duncan suddenly spots Emma, and both feel an instant connection. Alice approaches them, trying to steal the Christmas bouquet. He refuses, saying he has no one to give it to. Alice notices him staring at Emma and teases him into ordering two bouquets to be delivered on Christmas Eve. When asked for his name, the prince calls himself David, choosing to hide his identity. The mechanic later confirms he must find the right in Aurora. Alice kindly directs him to the newest diner, which happens to be Emma's. Then the mechanic orders Emma was still with Todd, calls for searcher she's single now, setting the stage to push something new.
At the diner, Emma's busy with customers when Todd unexpectedly shows up. He wants her to reconsider their breakup, insisting he's everything she'll ever need. Emma firmly refuses and tells him to leave. Todd gives an ultimatum, thinking of her for Christmas Eve. Soon after, Duncan arrives and bumps into Emma. They recognize each other from earlier that day. While Emma serves him coffee, he introduces himself as David, hiding his true identity. They feel an immediate connection. Emma envies his freedom. His traveling has always been her dream. She also guides him to the nearest hotel, not knowing he plans to leave the next day. At the hotel, the owner greets Duncan warmly. She shares how many visitors plan to stay for just a night, but end up living there forever. Duncan laughs, confident he won't be one of them. While paying, he nearly slips up by using his credit card, but switches the cash to maintain his cover. The owner notices he looks familiar, curious about him. Outside, an unknown man watches Duncan's every move. Back at home, Alice bombards Emma with questions about David. Emma admits he's attractive and charming, but worries he's hiding something that will be gone soon. Alice encourages her to open her heart, reminding her that love's worth taking a chance on. Later, Emma checks her mail and realizes she still has a pile of debts to worry about, adding to her stress.
Emma discovers that her sister Alice has been accepted to college, stirring mixed emotions. Meanwhile, Prince Duncan checks out of the hotel. The owner, who knows his true identity, keeps his secret despite his offer of money, asking only that he remember her hotel. Duncan promises and prepares to leave, unaware that an unknown man is quietly following him. He stops by the diner where Alice is thrilled to see him. She impresses him with her sales skills, and he enjoys a quick breakfast while wondering about Emma. From afar, he notices her visiting the cemetery, placing flowers for their late parents. Emma reflects on her struggles raising Alice alone and asks for guidance in the decision she's about to make. Duncan approaches, and Emma is surprised to see him, knowing he plans to leave town that day. He suggests a walk, hoping to get to know her before he goes. As they stroll through the town, Emma talks about the warm, caring community and shares her memories of her parents. Learning that Duncan has lived a sheltered, controlled life, she decides to show him some fun. She introduces him to winter sports, snow angels, sledding, and driving through the snow. Nervous at first, he falls but is unharmed, and for the first time in his life, he feels free and normal. They enjoy cupcakes together, and Duncan remarks that Christmas feels more magical here. Emma, however, reminds him she has responsibilities, running her father's diner, and dreams of traveling, yet she cannot pursue them freely.
After spending more time with Emma, Duncan feels a strong desire to show her the world. Suddenly, he realizes he missed his train, but instead of panicking, he decides to stay a little longer, just to see her again. Emma is thrilled by this. That day, Emma makes a tough choice. She puts the diner up for sale to help with their finances. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Duncan gazes at a picture of him and Emma. The hotel owner notices and advises him about Emma's past. Her parents died in a Christmas car accident, and she raised her sister alone. She encourages Duncan to support her if he truly cares. Back in Belmont, Geoffrey is revealed as the mysterious man watching Duncan. He receives a call from the king, who checks on Duncan's progress. Geoffrey explains that Duncan is adapting well and also shares Emma's situation. Surprisingly, the king wants Duncan to make his own decisions without interference. Meanwhile, the queen grows anxious, blaming herself for forcing Duncan into a wedding, but the king reassures her that he will return home in his own time. At the diner, Emma receives flowers from Todd, reminding her of their Christmas Eve plan. She's shocked he hasn't given up, but soon Duncan arrives, offering to help at the diner. He has decided to stay, suggesting they introduce new dishes to attract more customers and save the business. Emma is delighted by his initiative. Max, the diner's chef, helps Duncan gather ingredients while sharing his own dream of attending culinary school. He fears he cannot succeed alone, wishing for support, something Duncan is now ready to offer.
By his kindness and feels drawn to him. Later, while enjoying a friendly pool game together, Todd suddenly appears. Seeing Emma laughing and happy with Duncan, jealousy consumes him. He confronts Duncan, claiming he's off limits, and even lies that he and Emma are engaged, hoping to intimidate him. Duncan, skilled and confident, handles the confrontation effortlessly, forcing Todd to leave. Afterwards, Emma explains the situation, telling Duncan that Todd is her ex and sometimes difficult. She also confides her feelings about living in a small town like Aurora, limited opportunities, and little chance for a fairy tale romance. Duncan encourages her, assuring her that dreams can come true, but patience is necessary. Emma, however, feels he cannot truly understand her struggles. She has Alice's college fees to pay, a mortgage to handle, and a diner on the verge of failing. Duncan listens carefully, realizing the immense weight on her shoulders. Determined to help, he comes up with a plan and promises to pick her up for something special. Meanwhile, Alice notices the growing closeness between her sister and Duncan. She feels hopeful that Emma's happiness is blossoming and wishes it will last forever. Inspired by this, Emma sets up a Christmas tree for the first time in years, symbolizing her healing and gradual acceptance of joy despite her parents' tragic death on Christmas. Duncan, meanwhile, brainstorms a romantic way to surprise Emma. The hotel owner, aware of his feelings, offers some helpful ideas. Both are quietly falling for each other, yet Duncan still hides his true identity. The stage is set for a magical Christmas surprise where love begins to bloom and both start to realize that fairy tales can indeed come true, even in real life.
Back at home, Emma and Alice talk about Duncan, sharing what they admire about him. On the other side, the prince confides in the hotel owner about all the things he loves about Emma, her courage, kindness, and spirit. Both are drawn to each other for qualities they don't always see in themselves. It seems Duncan has found his princess. Alice is delighted with the new, happier Emma and encourages her to enjoy every moment with the prince. Meanwhile, Max visits the prince to thank him for supporting his culinary dreams. The results are in. Max passed his exams and is officially heading to culinary school. Thrilled, he agrees to help Duncan plan a surprise for Emma. Duncan arrives at Emma's house to take her on a date. Emma joins him in a stunning dress, and Duncan admires her beauty. They ride in a horse-drawn carriage, making her feel like a princess. Their romantic evening includes Max as the chef and Alice playing music, a dreamlike moment for Emma. However, Todd, curious about Duncan's identity, sneaks into the hotel. He discovers a newspaper article revealing Duncan is the prince and quickly leaves with it before the hotel owner returns. After the date, Duncan escorts Emma home. Just as they're about to share a romantic moment, Alice suddenly interrupts, insisting on revealing something important. Emma and Duncan are surprised by her sudden behavior. Later, Todd shows up at Emma's house, demanding to be heard. He reveals Duncan's real identity and that he is set to be married in a few days. Emma is heartbroken by the revelation, but still believes Duncan is far better than arrogant Todd. She orders Todd to leave, despite his desperate reminders of their Christmas Eve promise.
Alice tries to console Emma, feeling guilty for encouraging her to give love another chance. Soon after, Prince Duncan visits Emma. To his surprise, she reveals she already knows his true identity and about his upcoming arranged marriage. Duncan apologizes for not being truthful and explains he came to Aurora to escape the wedding. He confesses that he has fallen in love with her but couldn't bring himself to tell her sooner. Emma, heartbroken, feels used, thinking he only sought her company to avoid his obligations. She struggles to trust him, even though her heart also belongs to him. Emma explains she has two men in her life and painfully admits the honest one is Todd. Angry and frustrated, she tells Duncan to leave. As he departs, he wishes Max luck with his culinary school journey. While packing to return home, Duncan recalls every moment spent with Emma, wishing their story hadn't ended bitterly. Jeffrey arrives, confirming the king is supportive and believes it's time for Duncan to return. With no choice, Duncan agrees. Emma watches from afar as Duncan leaves with Jeffrey, feeling saddened but letting him go. Back at the palace, the queen is delighted the wedding is back on track, though some important guests were lost. She wonders how his trip went. Duncan, now changed by his experiences in Aurora, shows humility and a desire to treat all helpers as equals. He shares stories of Aurora's kindness and the respect people show each other. Most importantly, he confesses his love for Emma. The king supports him, and seeing his sincerity, the queen finally realizes her husband has found true love.
Finally, Duncan receives full support from his parents. His mother promises to quietly end the arranged marriage, leaving the prince overjoyed. On Christmas Eve, Alice joins Emma at the diner to cheer her up. Emma admits she has fallen in love with Duncan, which makes it hard for her to let go. Alice reminds her of their plan to pick up bouquets for the day's customers. While waiting at the train station, Emma is surprised to see Duncan arrive with Jeffrey, this time in his royal attire. He approaches Emma and declares his love, believing she feels the same. Hesitant at first, Emma is encouraged by Alice to accept him. Finally, Duncan proposes and Emma happily says yes. They share a romantic kiss while Alice, Jeffrey, and Max celebrate with them. Later, Max graduates from culinary school and turns Emma's family diner into a successful restaurant. Alice attends State College on a music scholarship and eventually moves to Europe to perform with the Philharmonic Orchestra. Todd, meanwhile, finds happiness with someone else. Emma and Duncan continue planning the royal wedding while traveling the world together, finally fulfilling Emma's dream of adventure and romance, a true modern-day fairy tale.
If you loved the twist, wait for the next one.